And for Alabama, sadly, it's bad news where you lose your starting running back, Jam Miller, for a period of time. My gut feeling here, guys, is getting back for the SEC opener against Georgia, and everything should be okay. Not, taking wins for granted, but, everybody projecting out that may be the first tough game for Alabama. You got helmets in Florida State and Wisconsin, but having back for that trip to Athens at 100%, and that probably will be a best-case scenario for the Jam Miller injury.
Yeah, so you've got roughly 40 days before Georgia. I agree with you. I think the Florida State, and we've talked about this before, the only way a number really fluctuates in Vegas if you have a starting quarterback that is out. This Jam Miller injury will not affect the Florida State line at all. Then you've got La Monroe and you've got Wisconsin. I mean, these all should be double-digit wins without Jam Miller, and I agree with you. I mean, the projection should be September 27th. In Athens against Georgia is when you need everybody fully healthy.
Upper body injury is the official word from Kalen DeBoer on Sunday. He did not address it Saturday afterwards, so we won't have sound of him actually talking about Jam, who actually played pretty well in that scrimmage. 4 or 5 carries, a couple of catches out of the backfield. Looked really good. He was having a dynamic camp. But Brownie, here's a guy who's a veteran, and if you believe any of the scuttlebutt, it's a collarbone. It had a little procedure done to sort of help that and get back from that. A collarbone's pretty, any upper body, but that shoulder, important for a running back like Jam Miller.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we remember, the legendary day where, was it Emmitt Smith? He was playing, was it a separated shoulder or a broken collarbone, one of the two, against the Giants? And even Emmitt Smith was like, man, I don't know if I can do that again. I was in so much pain. Here's the only concern for me. You'll never know this, but I would dare say they will get the exact same amount of rush yards with or without Jam Miller. The only concern for me is you're breaking in a brand new quarterback with some new offensive linemen in some places. I'm less concerned about that. And what is a somewhat hostile environment? I guess it'll be a hostile environment. Used to be.
No, it will be. I mean, they're 0-0.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it'll be hostile. That used to be a really difficult place to play.
If I'm a Florida State fan, I'm selling myself on this team is going to be more 2023 than 2024.
Right. Yeah, closer to 60,000 than the 88 or whatever it used to be when they'd have overflow.
Yeah, so I guess it's a hostile environment, as hostile as it's going to be. You're probably going to throw 25 to 30 times in a game. I'm just guessing. And how good are the guys behind Jam Miller? One of the reasons Jam Miller was RB1 was not just because he carries the ball well or catches the ball well out of the backfield, but he protects his quarterback. And how good are the guys behind him at that? Now, I did go back and see where actually Kalen DeBoer not long ago was praising his running back room for that all those guys do that well. But obviously Jam Miller probably did it as well or better than anybody, which is why he was your top-line running back. So for me, it's less about yards and more about how am I helping a first-time starting quarterback in a hostile environment.
Yeah, I always say that's what keeps star high school running backs off the field the longest is their ability to pass pro, to protect in the pass plays. Jam Miller is out for at least the Florida State game, not officially announced. No timetable from Kalen DeBoer, but everybody doing the math there. Florida State in 2 weeks won't play. We'll find out when he comes back. And, of course, there are availability reports. We'll get some of that when we get to game week next week from Alabama. Richard Young, Daniel Hill, and others back there, sort of the next in rotation. And like you were saying, Brown, we really don't know a whole lot about those guys. When they've played,
I liked Richard Young.
Yeah, when they played, they're bruising and really good running backs, and they're all highly recruited. A.K. Deere, the freshman, is back there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of recruited stars in that running back room.
Well, and Dre Washington is a veteran that comes in from Louisiana, and the only reason I bring him up is you've had such limited touches with both Daniel Hill and Richard Young, and when you're playing, I don't know, it's going to be 1,000 degrees, it's going to be muggy, the ball could be a little slippery. When Daniel Hill and Richard Young were coming in, they were probably in games where Alabama was up 28. There was a lot less pressure on these guys. Now, when you're, carrying the football in the first quarter and, one of these guys lays it on the ground, like that's one of the reasons you might look to a guy like Dre Washington to get some touches just because he's got so much experience.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder, without Miller, do you say, okay, who's the guy, to Lance's point, who's the guy that's least likely to put it on the ground? Like, I haven't heard them talk about fumbles at all. All I've heard them talk about is interceptions when they've talked in terms of quarterbacks.
Yeah, the lack of interception.
That's right, the lack thereof. Good point. I haven't heard like, boy, we got to protect the football. The runner's putting it on the ground too much. So obviously, protecting the football in a road game to open the season is going to be paramount, and then protecting the quarterback. So I think those are the two things probably you look at first. Is there a more explosive guy I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying this is the case. Could A.K. Deere be the most explosive guy you've got, Jim? But he's a true freshman, and we don't know if he's where he needs to be protecting the quarterback. And we've never seen him in a college game, so we don't know how well he protects the ball. Did he fumble a lot in high school? No. He never got hit like he does in a college game. In the scrimmages, he was fine, but with the lights on, I don't know. So, I mean, those are all questions you got to be answering right now if you're Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan and that offensive staff to figure out who you want out there.
I would tell you this from what you learned from camp so far with Ryan Grubb. He loves to use the little check down passes to the running backs. So catching the football really important in the Ryan Grubb offenses as they move forward without Jam Miller, who is by far the dominant number one starter there. We'll get a timetable at some point from Kalen DeBoer officially, and we'll get to game week next week and get the availability report. But that's the downside of what came out of the scrimmage.